I'm Danny Marks. We've got an inspired guest this evening on our program, filmmaker and music fanatic Stephen Morris, all about his latest film, the story, the life and times of Vann piano man Walls. And it turns out that this film is playing June the 15th at the Bloor Cinema as part of the North by Northeast Festival. Well, Stephen will tell us more about that. And who, you might ask, is Vann piano man Walls? Well, for many years, his greatest claim to fame was that he was a studio musician with Atlantic Records. He was brought there by the top brass. But let's go back to the beginning. We'll meet Stephen Morris, hear about his film, and find out, where did this guy, Vann piano man Walls, who ended up, by the way, living in Montreal, Quebec, where did he come from?
He was from Kentucky, was raised south of the Mason-Dixon. Vann grew up, though, in West Virginia. He lived in those kind of towns where people lived in tents and shacks, that sort of stuff. He came from a poor background, of course, but his mother taught him to play the piano when he was 6 or 7. And when he was in high school, he quit and became a professional musician quite young. It took me years to get all these details about Vann from him. He was taciturn. He wouldn't talk. And it took me years to just kind of become a friend with him first. And then we would talk about his life, but sparingly. He was not the kind of guy who was forthcoming with details.
Might play slow, baby, but I sure do play long. Might play slow, baby, I do sure play long. If I get y'all in the mood, might be able to play your song. I make this piano stomp and play the blues too. Make this piano stomp, y'all, and play the blues too. When y'all think I'm tired, just begin to play the blues for you. the fastest gun in the world. All the famous gunmen claim to be the fastest in the world. But my study piano playing, they all say it's the best.
Mr. Vann, tell me, why do you play the boogie woogie so low down?
Man, because the chicks love this playing, man.
Well, what do they love about it that's so great?
No, this high note.
The high note?
Yeah, listen.
Well, then let me listen to it. Oh, I can see why they love it, boy. Say, Vann, they tell me they got a joint in your town called the Rum Boogie.
That's right.
Well, tell me a little something about it.
Man, you talking about some fine chicks? Man, them chicks really jump, man.
Do they really jump, man?
Yeah, man. Man, they got a cat that can blow, man, and talking about a chick dancing. Man, you ought to be at the Rum Boogie.
Can they really do the coffee grinder like you say when the cat blow that tenor horn?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna blow it now.
No.
Question, man.
Yeah.
You think if I go down in your hometown that the chicks will give me a little tumble with blowing this horn like I'm blowing it?
Yeah, man, yeah.
And what do you say if we take you on back down and let you play some more boogie woogie? Now go on and blow.
Vann toured from tent show to tent show. That's where he developed his chops, playing in those wild, really flamboyant southern parties under tents. And those tent shows were everything. You know, they weren't just acrobats and vaudeville. They were live music as well. So that's the culture that developed his musical skills.
My name is Mr. Vann. I'm known as the piano man. My name is Mr. Vann, and I'm known as the piano man. I'm ready and willing to start raising hell if I can. I'm over 30 years ago, while playing in New York town. Over 30 years ago, I was playing in New York town. When that big Joe shouted, "Hey, Vann, You play the blues solo now. Coffee grinder. When I play the boogie, we're gonna 88. The gals do the coffee grinder. When I play the boogie on 88. When everybody's shouting, that piano man is so great.
How did Vann get to Atlantic Records? Was he discovered by Omelette or by Jerry?
By Omelette, I love. Apparently, Otis Redding called him Omelette, right?
That's the point.
Vann was recruited by a guy named Frank Florshow Cully, who was down in. Vann was living in Columbus, Ohio by then, and Frank Florshow came through town, and he had been hired by Omelette to recruit a blues piano player. He discovered Vann and said, "Hey man, let's go to New York. You're going to be great there."
He must have been the first guy to play piano for Atlantic Records because he was there with Styx McGee, and that was the first stuff they did, wasn't it?
I think you're right about that. And Erdogan said that he was by far the best piano player, blues and R&B piano player on the East Coast.
That is something else.
Yes.
What was his first recording with Atlantic? Would that have been Styx McGee or?
I think it's this one that I put on your playlist, Rum Boogie Jive, 1949. And there's a lot of repartee back and forth between Frank and Vann.
Frank Florshow.
Frank Florshow, yeah.
And they're just yakking back and forth. What was Frank doing during the session?
He was playing a saxophone. And there's this splendid photograph of Frank in the film where he is airborne playing his sax.
We'll just imagine that.
If you want to get rich, you got to get out and dig. You want long hair, go buy yourself a wig. Please believe me, gonna tell it to you slow. It's a real true saying, one monkey won't stop no show. You can live in the country, you can come to town. What goes up is bound to come down. Please believe me, gonna tell it to you slow. Well, pick up on what I'm saying, one monkey won't stop no show. You can travel by bus, you can come by train. Travel by thumb, but you will get there just the same. Please believe me, gonna tell it to you slow. Yeah, dig what I'm saying, one monkey won't stop no show.
phone. If you ever need me, baby, call me on the telephone. I wanna love you, love you, love you, love you, love you all the time. I wanna love you, love you, love you, love you, love you all the time. I wanna love you, baby, if I live to 99. Just give me 5, 10, 15 hours of your love. Just give me 5, 10, 15 hours of your love. Give me 15 hours while that shining moon's above. I wanna hold you, hold you, hold you, hold you, hold you till the light. I wanna hold you, hold you, hold you, hold you till the broad daylight. I wanna thrill you, thrill you, thrill you till the sun is shining bright. So give me 5, 10, 15 hours there with you. So give me 5, 10, 15 hours there with you. Give me 15 hours and I'll prove my love to you. Well, if you ever think about me, Daddy, won't you let me know? If you ever think about me, Daddy, won't you let me know? I'll be your loving baby. You can be my so-and-so. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Two seminal Atlantic Records sessions featuring Vann Piano Man Walls. We heard One Monkey Don't Stop No Show by Brownie's brother, Styx McGee, and Ruth Brown, the woman who built Atlantic Records herself, with 5, 10, 15.
Hi, I'm Stephen Morris. You're listening to Blues FM with Danny Marks on JAZZ.FM91. It's my honor, my privilege to invite you to the screening of my documentary on Vann Piano Man Walls, The Spirit of R&B, at North by Northeast, June the 15th. That's a Sunday. The screening is at 12:30 in the afternoon, and it's the most beautiful Bloor Cinema on Bloor Street.
Right back with you as promised. This is Blues FM, Saturday nights from 8 o'clock till midnight on Jazz FM 91. I'm Danny Marks. With us, movie maker Stephen Morris to speak about his passion for and his movie all about Vann the Man Walls, a great piano player and one of the pillars of the Atlantic Records sound. So there he was, a session man for Atlantic Records, having been brought up and south of the Mason-Dixon line. His mom taught him piano. He played in 10 shows, and all of a sudden, he's in New York City. Was he adapting well to this? You said he was a taciturn kind of dude in the first place.
Well, I only know because Vann wouldn't talk about that period of his life with me, but Erdogan did. And Erdogan said that he was self-effacing, that he was, the quiet type. But the second he set to playing the piano, it was pyrotechnics. And Vann excelled in this environment. He was a session player, but he was also a composer. He was an arranger. He was a band leader. He had great musical ideas. So he let his hands do the talking. He just played that piano like a fallen angel.
She wear loafer shoes, dungaree, red jacket, shirt. If you please, mom, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, country girl. What I mean, mom, boogie woogie, country girl. Now you dig that music with a beat rockin' rollin'. Is a meat, my boogie woogie, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, country girl. What I mean, mom, boogie woogie, country girl. On Saturday night she comes down, she played the jukebox and left her hair on down. My boogie woogie, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, country girl. What I mean, my boogie woogie, country girl. And roll. She can milk a cow. Don't like squares, cause daddy taught her how. Boogie woogie, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, country girl. What I mean, my boogie woogie, country girl. She's up every morning about 5:30 to let you go fishing, cause it keeps you alive. My boogie woogie, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, country girl. Well, I mean, my boogie woogie, country girl. Hang around, dig my baby, cause she really goes to town. My boogie woogie, boogie woogie, boogie woogie, country girl. Well, you dig what I mean, my boogie woogie, country girl. Yeah, swinging band, I like a good rocking band. Yeah, my knees start to knocking, and I love to start to rocking. Yeah, my boogie, boogie woogie, country girl. Beauty.
like to have a good time. Wild young men like to have a good time. Wild boyfriends like to lose their mind. Wild men dig me, but I love a cool one. Wild men dig me, but I love a cool one. To go home to when I've had my fun. Wild men hoop and holler and they yell ooh-wee. Wild men hoop and holler and they yell ooh-wee. They can scream and break down, but they don't kill me. Well, they can romp and stomp. Well, they can rock and roll. Well, they can do the funk. Well, they can thrill my soul. Well, they can drink and wine. They all wanna be mine. Well, mercy, mercy, ain't that a shame? Well, mercy, mercy, ain't that a shame? While young men scandalize my name. All of my girlfriends, they wonder how. All of my girlfriends, they wonder how I make these young men go wild. Well, I just clap my hands. Well, I just wink my eye. Well, I just whisper, baby, and I just heave a sigh. Well, I just roll my hips and I leave them high and dry. While young men, I must confess, while men love me, I must confess. When I tame one, that'll be the best.
Classic Atlantic Records tracks featuring Vann, Piano Man Walls. We heard Ruth Brown, Wild Young Men, and Sweet 16 from Big Joe Turner. Started off with Boogie Woogie Country Girl, and that is some eloquent piano playing, well, on all of the stuff, but Boogie Woogie Country Girl, a particular favorite of ours, and we often assumed, wrongly, as it turns out, that was Joe's regular piano guy, Pete Johnson, playing on that track, but it was Vann Piano Man Walls. And here we have with us Stephen Morris, who currently calls Montreal his home, but he's originally from just a little bit west of the big city of the megalopolis here in Toronto. And he made a movie about the life and times of Vann because Vann the Man ended up in Montreal. Let's chat more with Steve and find out more about Vann Piano Man Walls. Well, Vann was doing great at Atlantic Records, but in 1955, you told me he left. Well, what happened then?
Well, the white guys took over. They usurped rock and called it rock and roll. And Vann kind of drifted not into total obscurity, but his R&B sound went out of fashion, and he slowly emigrated north.
How far north can you go from New York City?
He went to, I think he was in New Haven, Connecticut. Listen, Vann was one of those troubadours. He liked to be on the road. He liked to move around a lot. So he set down roots very often and in many different cities before he ended up in Montreal.
That's right. Well, of course, and that's where you met him, correct?
I met him in Montreal in 1990 at McGill University, of all places.
Describe that situation.
I just moved to Montreal from Quebec City, and I didn't know anyone in the city, and I was looking for things to do, and there was these lovely little posters all over my part of town saying, History of the Blues, non-credit course, non-credit being the key phrase there.
What does that mean?
It means I didn't have to write an exam.
Oh, okay.
And the course was taught by a musicologist, a chap by the name of Dr. Morrison. And he said, don't miss next week. I've got a surprise for you. And that next week, in walked Vann Piano Man Walls. And he sat down at that faculty upright and he played it. He tore the place apart. And of course, he was just a few feet away from me. And my jaw just dropped.
How old were you?
I was a young man. I'm an old man now. I was in my mid to late 30s.
Okay. Keep going. I'm enjoying this story. There you are at school, non-credit course. Vann sits down. I want to ask you one question, though. Could he read music?
Very good question. I think he could, but he never discussed the fact. You know, he knew notation and he knew his way around sheet music, but I don't think that he could not speed read, but sight read.
Yeah.
But no, he could defend himself musically with anyone, either an academic or a layman, a secular musician.
Brilliant. So there you were in school. You saw him for the first time. You were totally taken aback. And was he able to speak to the class as well as play, or he didn't have to speak?
Yes, he did, and he was really kind and generous and humble. That side of the man really impressed me. I remember specifically his hands. He suffered. I've never said this publicly before, but he had terrible arthritis in his hands. And it hurt him to play a piano, but it didn't prevent him from playing with reckless abandon on a piano. You know, at home he played a keyboard because it was easy, no tension to play. But on the keyboard, he suffered. But he was really generous. And I went home that night and I knew I had music of his in my collection. You know, I'd bought those Atlantic compilations of rhythm and blues piano players, and so I knew his musical history.
Now, let me jump in here. You're a filmmaker by trade.
Well, by accident, I think, more so.
Fine. But tell me this, where did your interest in music start?
It started here in Toronto.
Yay, team.
I grew up in Burlington, Ontario, and my parents would come into the big city on a Saturday, and my older brothers, they're identical twins, they would take me to Sam the Record Man's, and they'd hold my hand so that I wouldn't get lost, and I'd look up at all these cash registers clinging and clanging, and it was the most exciting thing in my life up until that point. And that's when I became a record collector, and it's record collecting that led me to Vann.
Brilliant stuff. So by that point, you were back in Montreal. Vann had given a talk and a performance of his musicality, and you, somewhere in the back of your mind, you got an idea that you were going to make a film about his life one day.
Well, it's an interesting story, but I wanted someone else to make the film because I'd never made a film before. At that time, I was a distributor, and I became a producer, but no one else would adopt the project. No one else knew his history the way I did. So finally, the late, great Peter Wintonic, a great Canadian filmmaker, he said, "Morris, you're driving us all crazy. Stop. Go out and make the film yourself. No one else is going to do it." And so I did.
One early morning, as I was walking, I met a woman, started talking. I took her home to get a few nips, but all I had was a mint julep. One mint julep was the cause of it all. I don't remember just how it started, but all I know is we should have parted. I stole a kiss and then another. I didn't mean to take it further. Oh, mint julep was the cause of it all. The lights were burning low there in the parlor, went through the kitchen door. I popped her father, he said, "I saw you wet. You kissed my daughter, got to wait right now." Oh, face of slaughter, I didn't know just what I was doing. I had to marry all face ruin. I meant you
keeps the children from getting frisky.
A mint julep, a mint julep, a mint julep, a mint julep. One mint julep was the cause of it all.
We were speaking about how nobody else would make the film, and you did. What is the film called?
Vann Piano Man Walls, The Spirit of R&B. And I have to tell you that the last thing in this world that Vann wanted to do was make a film. He was recalcitrant. He avoided me. He avoided the issue. You couldn't get him to sit down and talk about it. And it took me years to just position he and I to the point where he would allow me to sit him down at a grand piano with a proper film crew and sound crew and get him down. It took forever.
But you did it. And now...
Guess why?
Because of love of them.
Well, no, I'm a slow thinker. It took me years to figure out that Vann, he lived a very humble lifestyle and he needed money. And so I finally came to the conclusion that he would talk to me if I paid him, which goes against most principles of documentary filmmaking. But the second I cut a check, he opened right up for me.
See, that is the blues mentality
exactly.
of all those guys. They never thought about making the big time, just making money. Isn't that something?
Vann wouldn't talk about making the big time. He was a pioneer. He knew it. It was just a fact. It was nothing more than that to him.
Now, this movie that you've made, it's finally finished, isn't it? And it's about to be shown. And I think it's going to be shown in Toronto, isn't it?
I'm really chuffed that North by Northeast has chosen this film for its part of its film program. And I'm honored, really.
Please go ahead.
Well, I live in Quebec, but these, Toronto and the greater region is these are my cultural roots. And everywhere else we've played the film, it had its American premiere in Memphis, but the two projections that we did in the province of Quebec, the world premiere and the second showing, they were subtitled in French. So this is the English premiere as well. So I'm bringing it home in a way. So I'm really proud.
You have a lot to be proud of. I haven't even seen the movie, but just hearing what you've got to say and knowing the importance of the man, Vann, tell me the date again. June the
15th at the Bloor Hot Docs Cinema on Bloor Street. I think it's the only commercial theater in the world, or in North America rather, that is designated to documentary films exclusively, and it's playing at 12:30 in the afternoon. It's a big hall too, and I'm really pleased, Danny, that you're helping me trying to fill the hall. I'm really, really pleased.
Absolutely delighted. Well, we'll continue to do what we can. There's an audience for this sort of thing. Just from meeting you today, I can tell that you've really put a lot of heart and soul into this project.
Well, I've done other things in the interim, but I always went back to this project because it was my, I was driven. It was
How
my
many
passion.
years were you working on?
I filmed Vann on a small Hi8 camera in 1991. The first time. And here we launched it in Montreal at a beautiful film festival called the Festival du Nouveau Cinéma. It's an accredited film festival. It's an old film festival. That was our world premiere. I was really glad to make our debut there. But this is our Toronto. This is our Toronto strike.
June the 15th at the Bloor Cinema, 12:30 in the afternoon, just past noon. Perfect time for a movie of this kind. Hang on now.
Chains of love has tied my heart to you. Chains of love that made me feel so blue. Well, now I'm your me cry. Are you gonna love me? Are you gonna make me cry? These chains of blues is gonna haunt me until the day I die. Well, if you're gonna leave me, please won't you set me free? Well, if you're gonna leave me, please won't you set me free? I can't stay here with these chains, less than you stay on here with me. Well, 3 o'clock in the morning, baby, and the moon is shining bright. Yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. The moon is shining bright. I'm just sitting here wondering, where can you be tonight?
There's another lasting Montreal connection with Vann the Man, and that is with one Michael Jerome Brown. Now, what's the deal there with Michael Jerome?
Before Michael's apartment was burnt down, he was reputed to be the man in the city with the greatest collection of vinyl and I guess CDs and tapes of blues and rhythm and blues. Michael Jerome knew Vann far better than I, and he and Stephen Barry backed Vann up, I would say, for about 2 years before we made the album. And not only did they know his musical pedigree, not only did they respect him and love him, but they played their hearts out for him. You know, it worked both ways. He liked them as much as they liked him. So that's one of the reasons that I think the album was such a success and nominated for a Juno.
And the name of the album that they made with Vann, this is news to me now.
In the Evening. It's on Les Disques Bro, a Montreal label, has many other artists.
We play many by them, in fact, on this very program.
I'm
yes.
sure you do. And sorry.
It's okay. It's a little tough because we're excited about this. And the thing is that on many occasions that I've played some of their wonderful recordings, I've wanted to connect with them. I've tried to email them to let them know, here in Toronto, we're reaching back out to you for some of this beautiful music that you've sent us. So maybe if they don't respond to me, Danny Marks at JAZZ.FM91, I can send them a message through you, my new friend.
It would be my pleasure. It would be my privilege, actually. And, you know, Vann's album has not had much distribution outside of Quebec and pockets of the nation. When I had the launch in Memphis, I was approached by a distributor there, so I'm hoping something will come of it. You know, this music is timeless. So if Vann made this album 15 years ago, it's as contemporary today as it was the day it was made, I feel.
Let's give it a listen. FM feature on Vann the Man Walls with our special guest, Steve Morris. We'll continue on the flip side of a very short break right here on Jazz FM 91.
Hi, I'm Stephen Morris. You're listening to Blues FM with Danny Marks on Jazz FM 91. It's my honor, my privilege to invite you to the screening of my documentary on Vann Piano Man Walls, The Spirit of R&B, at North by Northeast, June the 15th. That's a Sunday. The screening is at 12:30 in the afternoon, and it's the most beautiful Bloor Cinema on Bloor Street.
Will you be there, my dear man?
I will be there indeed.
Oh, beautiful. A chance to meet the movie maker himself and to see this touching tribute and filmed with love. And you filmed it on real film, didn't you?
Some of it on real film,
Yeah.
i8, Betacam, DV, digital, everything.
I think it's going to be a great film, just judging by the passion you showed today for us on the radio. The film is a must-see.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure, Stephen.
Yeah, man. All right.